Hello, this is Fanfiction Spot coming with another part of What If Naruto Had a Gaming System or Solo Leveling. Please like and subscribe, and without any delay let's get started. Chapter 6, Tiger and Dragon. Outside Training Ground 13. This bites. Naruto grumbled. He was currently torn between glaring at the rusty gate that barred his way back into the training ground and the window floating in front of him. Warning. You can only enter any given field dungeon once per day. Training Ground 13 has doors between the various areas that allow you to move between them without exiting the dungeon, but you evidently didn't know about the other door. Your area map has been updated with the location of the inter-area door for when you try tomorrow. Good luck. How the hell is he supposed to know about these things if the damn windows don't tell him about them? Huffing in displeasure, Naruto decided to head back to Konoha and examine his spoils from today's loot. He did have quite a few, if you included raised skill levels into the equation. Closing the irritating window, Naruto began the trek back to his new home, mentally reviewing his performance in the forest today. He had to admit that his training had really helped him out. If he had tried this before he got his gamer ability, he would have had the snot kicked out of him by those damn squirrels. He still had to either get his hands on a wide area attack jutsu or make better use of his clones, as some of those fast-moving squirrels had come way too close to taking a bite out of him. As it was, he was surprised that his clothes were still intact from all of the scratches and bites he had suffered in the training grounds, but he supposed that was all a part of the whole gamer thing. He blinked as a new window appeared in front of him. You have discovered the skill Gamer's Equipment? Gamer's Equipment, Passive, LV Max. As the gamer, this skill links the condition of your clothing as being equal to the durability of each item, thus meaning you must wash, clean and repair them in order to maintain their durability. Someone is trying to make a point about my cleaning habits, aren't they? Naruto muttered under his breath. He made it back to his apartment without further incident and, after a cup ramen or two, settled down to read through the improved versions of his skills. Secondary Earth Affinity, Passive, LV2, 12.97 EXP. Earth affinities are not uncommon in the elemental nations, although Ishi no Kuni and Suke no Kuni are the ones who have more born there than any other country. Earth ninjutsu is seen as primarily an element of defense, but in the right hands one can make traps, launch counterattacks, and even alter the landscape itself. Strong against fire, water. Weak against lightning, wind. Passively decreases the chakra cost of Doton Jutsu by 2%. Passively increases the effectiveness of Doton Jutsu by 1%. Doton, Iwa Bunshin no Jutsu, Active, LV2, 05.19 EXP. The Earth Clone or Rock Clone technique is the most sturdy of the clone jutsu, save for the legendary Mokuton and its Moku Bunshin, requiring a solid hit in a critical location to destroy them. In addition, unlike the other elemental clones, if an Iwa Bunshin is destroyed, it breaks into pieces of rock, which can be used for other Doton ninjutsu. Iwa Bunshin can only use non-elemental or Doton ninjutsu and is almost as strong as the user. Hand signs, Ram Monkey Horse Ram. When activated, the user spits out a rock, which is then shaped into a clone or clones of the user. The clone, S, will follow the orders of its creator. Iwa Bunshin have no mental stats and have the physical stats of the creator of them minus 20%. Minimum number that have to be created, 5. Maximum number that can be created, 12. Cost 74 CP/clone. Doton, Gansutsukan no Jutsu, Active, LV2, 25.57 EXP. The Earth Style, Rock Section Kane Jutsu is a fairly simple technique. After making the correct hand signs, the user should pick up a stone or rock, which transforms it into a 1.5-meter long staff, which can be used in close combat or thrown at the enemy. At high levels, the user can create multiple staves simultaneously and assail their enemies with them. Hand signs, Monkey Rat Snake. Number of staves created per use, 1. Durability of each stave, 25. Costs 35 CP per stave made. Shuriken Jutsu, Passive/Active, Level 6. 31.01 EXP. Shuriken Jutsu is the art of thrown weapons. Any handheld blade weapon that has thrown weapon in its description can be used with this skill. Shuriken, Senbon, and Kunao are a few examples. Passively increases dex by 7%. Passively increases damage with thrown weapons by 10%. Actively increases accuracy of thrown weapons by 10%. Costs 5 CP to use. Beginner's Heikage Style Taijutsu, Passive/Active, Level 5, 00.45 EXP. The basic style of Taijutsu taught at the Konohagakuer Shinobi Academy. Heikage style has no particular inclinations towards attack or defense, instead having the characteristic of being easy to learn. The beginner's set is basic punching, kicking, and a few basic grapples. Passively increases STR by 7%. Passively increases dex by 7%. Passively increases STA by 8%. Whew, that's quite the improvement. Naruto mused aloud. If he kept up this kind of pace for the next 6 and a bit months, he'd kick Sasuke team around the ring like an unwanted stepchild. Turning his attention to the basic Fuinjutsu scroll, he removed it from his inventory and regarded it. He didn't know much about Fuinjutsu, except that the Night Aim Hokage had been an accomplished master of the art, as was the Sand Aim. Both of them had been overshadowed by the prodigy that was Namikaze Minato, if what his Jiji had said about the Hiraishin was true. What better way to surpass his predecessors than to master the difficult art of Fuinjutsu beyond what they had mastered? You have acquired the basic Fuinjutsu scroll. Do you wish to learn it? Y/N. Damn right I do. Naruto muttered as he hit the Y button, only to be dumbfounded when a window popped up over the first instead of the scroll disintegrating. Requisite skill level not met. You cannot learn this skill at the moment as you do not have the requisite levels in one or more other skills that are needed. You must have LV10 in calligraphy before you can learn basic Fuinjutsu. You currently do not know calligraphy. Aw man. Naruto complained, how the heck do I learn that? Calligraphy? Who could guess that that would be needed for Fuinjutsu? Pouting slightly, he made a note to keep a lookout for books on calligraphy when he went shopping after the academy and Sakura-chan's tutoring session. Placing the scroll back into his inventory, he then took out the 2 crafting recipe scrolls. Deciding that since he actually had the materials for it, he'd have a closer look at the squirrel fur vest scroll first. Rather unsurprisingly, a window popped up as soon as he picked it up. Congratulations! You have acquired your first crafting recipe? When you defeat non-human enemies, you will occasionally get items such as fur, silk, bones and teeth as loot drops. Using a crafting recipe, you can combine these items into a usable piece of equipment that you can either use or sell. Depending on the level of craftsmanship of the finished item, a crafted item can be one of 5 categories. Common, easily found. Relatively easy to make. Uncommon, harder to make, but with better stats. Less common, but still not all that hard to find. Rare, much harder to make. Most items are forged from metal. Quite impressive stats. Hard to find. Legend, items such as this are the kind that are only found once or twice in a lifetime. Their stats are equally impressive. Unique, one-of-a-kind items. Once made, no other item such as this can be created. If a person finds this level of item more than once a lifetime, they are blessed beyond a doubt. In order to create an item, you must have the requisite materials in order to make it. This includes the materials that make up the bulk of the item, as well as any decoration materials or stitching materials. You also have to have the requisite skill level in the skill required to create it. For example, in order to create this item, the squirrel fur vest, you must have at least 1 extra large cured squirrel fur, 10 cured squirrel furs and 2 rolls of sewing thread, not to mention being at least LV10 in sewing. Oh for dash? Another skill requirement. Naruto grumbled, I'm going to bed. After 3 hiccups in a row, Naruto was more than ready for bed, but a silver glow from the door leading to the roof caught his eye, so he opened it and peeked out through the doorway. Hovering in the middle of the air near the empty flower beads was a silver exclamation mark. What the heck? Naruto wondered, prompting another window to open. House quests. Your home, and the building it is in, is very much in a state of abandonment. By accepting the quests highlighted in silver, you can set about the business of restoring the place to habitability. To accept a house quest, merely walk up and tap the floating silver exclamation marks, read the window that pops up and then the Y button, just like any other quest. Unlike with regular quests, you do not earn EXP or Ryo for completing these quests, merely having your home up to snuff is a reward in and of itself. Who knew? Naruto muttered, before wondering why this appeared only now. Did it have to do with him leveling up for the first time since gaining his new apartment? Shrugging, Naruto walked over and tapped the silver icon once, making a silvery window pop up. House quest alert. Green thumbs and blonde hair, your flower beads are empty. Go to the Yamanaka flower shop and purchase soil, compost, and flower seeds, then set up your flower beads. Accept. Y/N. All in all, it was probably one of the simplest quests Naruto had received since he had acquired his gamer ability, so he accepted it before heading to bed. The next day, at the end of academy classes. Hey, Ino. Naruto called, stopping the Yamanaka heiress in her tracks. What, Naruto? She asked impatiently. I have to help my parents at the shop now. That's why I want to speak to them. Naruto replied, I have a couple of flower beads that I want to fill and the only place I know that sells the kind of soil and compost for flowers is your place. Ino looked at him with a raised eyebrow, didn't think you were the gardening type. I did have one at my old place, before someone ripped all the plants to pieces. Naruto grumbled, even my houseplants were destroyed. Sucks to be you. Ino said with a hint of sympathy in her voice, fine, come with me. Daddy will want to speak to you about it. As Ino led Naruto out of the classroom, 2 pairs of eyes followed them, 1 pair of light lavender and 1 pair of emerald green. Both felt jealousy in their hearts, but the latter only felt a small twinge, while the former raged against the time that Sakura, and now Ino, were spending with the boy she liked. Naruto examined Ino with his observe skill and was surprised by what he found. Name, Yamanaka Ino. Class, Mindwalker Adept. Level, 8. Next level, 46.90. Title, Academy Student, plus 25% EXP to LV10. Age, 12. HP, 625/625. CP, 300/300. STR, 12, -5. STA, 12, -5. Dex, 26, -5, +5. Int, 27. WIS, 25. Luck, 29. Status, Uchiha Fangirl, -25% to all EXP gain, -10% to teamwork, Yamanaka Clan Heiress, plus 30% effectiveness to all Yamanaka Clan Jutsu, fashionable, plus 20% to barter and haggle skills, plus 25% bonus EXP to those skills as well, Green Thumb, plus 50% effectiveness with gardening skill, plus 30% EXP bonus from gardening actions. Perks, strong-minded, natural talent, mindwalker, acrobatic, herbalist. Flaws, vain, fangirl, daddy's girl, malnourished. Yamanaka Ino is the heiress of the Yamanaka clan, famous for their skill with the mind arts. She is strong-willed and proud, to the point of arrogance on occasion, but is essentially a good person. She has much skill in her family's jutsu set, but squanders that talent as one of Suzuki-kun's fangirls. Her stats were far more balanced than Sakura's were, as she was obviously not close to being as smart as her frenemy was, but her physical skills were better, especially the dex stat. Naruto guessed that the acrobatic perk had something to do with that. So, how was Forod's tutoring yesterday? Ino asked out of the blue, jarring Naruto from his thoughts. Oh, it went well. Naruto replied, my brain hurt from all the information, but Sakura-chan's a good teacher. I'm gonna ace the dem exams this time round. After failing twice, I should think you would. The blonde girl snorted, I'm surprised you didn't try and steal the exam questions last time. Naruto looked at Ino in surprise. Why would I do that? If I don't earn a Hitaite the right way, there's no point in wearing it. Ino looked at him out of the corner of her eye. We aren't training to be samurai, you know. To a shinobi, there's no such thing as fair play. We aren't shinobi yet. Naruto pointed out, the first time I tried to graduate early, a girl called Ichigaya Terumi got expelled from the shinobi program for doing that. Really? The purple-clad girl asked in surprise. Yup. Naruto nodded. She got caught by a Chunin when she tried to enter the room where the exam papers were kept. I remember Gigi scolding her about it. I think she's back in civilian school right now. Ino looked thoughtful at this. It made sense to Naruto though. If the students had to cheat, it should be actually during the exam, when the Chunin-sensei could see and grade their stealthy information-gathering skills for themselves. You have deduced something important about the Genin exams? You gain +1 WIS? Ignoring the new window, Naruto saw that they were approaching the Yamanaka flower shop. The colorful facade had always made Naruto a little wistful for his lost garden and houseplants. At least now, he could actually do something about it. Daddy, Ka-san, I'm home. Ino called as she ran into the shop. Welcome home, Ino-chan. Her mother greeted her. Yamanaka Sayori was a beautiful woman in her late 20s/early 30s. Her long chestnut-colored hair was in a long ponytail similar to her daughter and she had a kind face. She stood up from behind the counter as her daughter entered and gave her a welcoming hug before looking at Naruto curiously. Naruto wants to talk to Daddy. Is he home? Ino asked her mother once she stepped back from the hug. He got called to the TNI department not long ago, but he shouldn't be there longer than a couple of hours. Sayori said with an apologetic look at Naruto, I take it you wish to create a new flower bead. Why yeah, how'd you know? Naruto was a bit unnerved by this prediction. I deal with houseplants and bouquets while Inoichi is in charge of outdoor plants. Sayori explained, so Ino saying you needed him told me what it is that you came to get. She reached under the counter, picked up a sheet of paper, and handed it to Naruto. Here. Fill this out so Inoichi can look it over when he gets back. Sure. Naruto nodded. Can I borrow a pen? Here. Ino gave him one. Ka-san, I'm gonna go and shower. I got all sweaty today at taijutsu practice. Although Sayori nodded, a troubled expression flashed across her face briefly as Ino sauntered off into what Naruto presumed was the way to the family portion of the house. Pretending he hadn't seen it, Naruto started filling in the form, which required the length, breadth, and depth of the flower bead in question, as well as the kinds of flowers and plants he would like to have in the flower bead. I hear that you've been helping out Sakura-chan. Sayori remarked after a moment. Yeah, she's banned from dieting. Naruto replied, It actually surprises me that you let Ino get away with dieting, what with the Yamanaka clan being a shinobi clan. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Sayori replied ruefully. Ino is a very stubborn girl and is convinced that she needs to diet, even although her father and I have told her over and over again that she doesn't need to. With Sakura eating more, she'll get stronger soon. Naruto shrugged. She'll be able to train longer and improve faster. Ino'll soon see that she's in the wrong here when she gets beat by Sakura-chan then. You seem rather confident about that. Sayori remarked. Why is that? Simple logic. Naruto shrugged as he finished writing up the form. Ino only trains when she has to, here or at the academy, and she does only the bare minimum, at the academy anyway. I'm planning on getting Sakura-chan to spar with me and improve her taijutsu at some point. Even if he had only just now decided on that, so Ino will lose if she keeps to her Suzuki-kun attraction plans. Technically, I should be angry that you're planning on making my little girl lose, but as this is in the name of a good cause, I'll let it slide. Sayori said with a small smile. Don't tell Inoichi though. Ino's his pride and joy and he hates the thought of her being beaten at anything. Beaten now, by someone who doesn't really want to hurt her, or beaten later, by someone who couldn't care less about whether she lives or dies. Naruto said with a shrug. If I were him, I'd choose the former rather than the latter. As would I. Sayori replied. So what are you going to do now that you know Inoichi isn't going to be here for a while? I have to go to Higurashi's for something. Naruto replied. But I have my tutoring session with Sakura-chan first. See you later then. Sayori nodded at him in farewell as he left. Waiting a moment, she then said, I take it you heard everything then, dear. An embarrassed Yamanaka Inoichi dropped the Todan no Jutsu, invisibility escape jutsu, from where he had been concealed in the corner of the shop during the entirety of the conversation between his wife and Naruto. How long did you know I was there for? He asked. The entire time. Sayori replied casually as she examined her nails. I am a chakra sensor, no. Inoichi winced at that. Sayori had been one of Konoha's best chakra sensors before she semi-retired after getting pregnant with Ino. He should have realized that she would realize he was there. So then dear, do you agree with Naruto-kun's assessment? Sayori asked. I do. The Yamanaka clan head sighed. I hate to admit it, but he is right about which I should choose. I just hope my princess isn't too crushed at being beaten. She's far too much like the both of us to let a single loss make her give up. Sayori said firmly. If anything, it might be just the right kind of shock to jar her out of this ridiculous diet obsession that she has. We'll just have to be patient and wait. Inoichi nodded before picking up the sheet of paper Naruto had filled up. I agree. Let's have a look here, huh? Looks like he wants to use the old flower beads on top of the old Ambu HQ building. Most of the plants he's mentioned as being what he would like are ones that don't need a lot of attention or watering, so they'd be perfect for someone out on missions. Looks like he's serious about passing this time. Sayori remarked. Looks like it. Inoichi said. I actually have everything he's asked for on hand, so I'll get it together and I'll go over to help him set everything up when he comes back. I'll take Ino as well, to help out. It's funny how she doesn't mind getting dirty and sweaty from gardening, yet loudly complains about getting sweaty from training. Sayori shook her head in bemused amusement. Half an hour later, during Naruto's study session with Sakura, Sakura kept giving Naruto sidelong glances as she helped him with his studying. What her parents had told her about the Uzumaki clan kept whirling in her mind. Could Naruto really be descended from Konoha's old allies? Sakura-chan, do I have something on my face? Naruto interrupted her musings. Sakura jerked in surprise. Naruto was looking at her with a mix of confusion and concern and she realized that she had been so lost in thought that she hadn't heard him talking to her. And no, you haven't. She said with a shake of her head. Say Naruto, you told me yesterday that you and Hokage-sama are close. Yeah, we are. Naruto nodded. He came and visited me in the orphanage as far back as I can remember and he set me up with my first apartment when the orphanage threw me out when I was 5. He takes me out for ramen every now and again, when he can get out from under his paperwork. He's one of only 3 people who give me birthday presents too. Sakura thought of the pile of presents that she received on her own birthdays and felt a bit ashamed. Has he ever mentioned your family? She asked softly. Just that I'm the last Uzumaki, though I don't know if they were a civilian clan or a shinobi clan. Naruto replied. Jiji said he'd tell me either when I became a genin or turned 15, whichever came first. This made the Pinkette frown a bit. Why would the leader of the village deliberately keep Naruto in the dark about his own heritage? It didn't make sense. A shinobi clan's history and heritage was integral to shaping the children as they grew up, ensuring that they were able to master whatever special skills and jutsu that the clan used, like the Nara clan's Kage Main no Jutsu or the Inuzuka clan's Ninken collaboration jutsu. He must have a good reason for it, she thought, without knowing if that's true. I can't tell Naruto everything about the Uzumaki that my parents told me, but maybe a couple of tidbits can't hurt. I've read a bit about the Uzumaki, she said aloud. It isn't much, but I could tell you what I know if you'd like. The look on his face was one that shook her down to her soul. It was both intense and vulnerable, not an expression she had ever seen on him before. Please, was all he said, but had an edge of desperation, of longing that she had never associated with Naruto before now, which she scolded herself for. Obviously, an orphan who knew he was of a clan, but knew no details about said clan, would be hungry for information about them. The Uzumaki were an ally of the Senju clan since the founding of Konoha. She started, they were a shinobi clan, one who had two defining characteristics that I know of. First, they were famous for their loyalty, both to family and to allies. Second, they specialized in the art of funjutsu. I heard they were almost destroyed during the Second Great Shinobi War though. Naruto stared at her unblinking for a moment before he said quietly, "Thank you, Sakura-chan. This is the first information I've heard about my clan, other than the fact this spiral is the clan symbol." "No problem." Sakura had to smile at the enthusiasm Naruto was showing for his heritage. Sakura-chan, what's the difference between shinobi clans and civilian clans?" Her blonde-haired study partner asked with a thoughtful look on his face. "You don't know?" Sakura just barely stopped herself from gaping in astonishment at him. "I know that shinobi clans have more chakra than civilians and that their bodies are stronger, but I don't know anything other than that." Naruto replied with a "what can you do" shrug. Sakura sighed. His knowledge about the four Hokage rivaled her own, but his knowledge about other subjects was very much spotty. Shinobi clans have been shinobi for at least 200 years. Sakura explained, that's how long it takes at a minimum for succeeding generations to develop the enhanced chakra coils and musculature that makes them so much better in combat. Each succeeding generation has more chakra and is stronger as a result of using it. Granted, chakra is made of both physical energy and mental energy combined, but shinobi clans have been proven to produce children with more chakra than any civilian clan. "Wow, you know a lot about this," Naruto remarked, a little in awe at her knowledge. "I looked up this kind of thing last year," Sakura admitted with a small blush. "The best treatise on this subject was by Tsunade-sama of the Sunin. Anyway, that's the basic difference. So, because both your parents are civilians, you're at a disadvantage chakra-wise." Naruto frowned. "That sucks." "Ota-san is a retired genin," Sakura corrected him. "A civilian genin, I'll grant you, but I have slightly better reserves than the other civilian genin candidates. You'd have more if you brought your physical energy up in line with your mental energy though," Naruto pointed out. "Naruto, explain, now," Sakura ordered with narrowed eyes. "No offense Sakura-chan, but I could outlast you in a taijutsu spar easily," Naruto stated frankly. "That's because you are not physically fit enough. You rarely spar in taijutsu and you do the bare minimum in PE. Iruka-sensei doesn't push the kunoichi candidates as hard as us guys. I guess he's just old-fashioned that way. Just because you can outlast me, doesn't mean you're better at taijutsu than me, Naruto." Sakura snapped, irritated that she was being underestimated. "Cha? Like I'd lose to the dobe?" Shan Naro, her inner personality yelled, sticking her middle finger in Naruto's direction. "Care to put your money where your mouth is, Sakura-chan?" Naruto challenged with a smirk. "Name your terms." Sakura shot back, her pride not letting her back down. "First to knock the other down 3 times wins," Naruto said. "No weapons, grapple holds or chakra tricks. No gouging or kicks below the belt. Sound fair?" "And the stakes?" Sakura demanded. "If I win, you have to let me help you get your taijutsu up to snuff," Naruto suggested. "Fine. And if I win, you are paying for one of my shopping sprees," Sakura declared with a clenched fist as she scowled at Naruto. This made the blonde orphan flinch. Sakura and Ino were infamous for trying to outdo each other on their shopping sprees. The last person who had paid for one of the frenemies shopping sprees had been left penniless by the time Ino had gotten finished with him. "Just one more reason for me not to lose. You're on." Naruto stuck his hand out for Sakura to shake, which she did once to seal their deal. "Where should we fight though?" Sakura wondered. "There's no room in here and I don't want to fight on concrete like out on the roof." "Let me show you something, Sakura-chan," Naruto said impishly. He led her out of his room and down one floor. The room he led her to was a dojo, which was being cleaned up by a bunch of his IWA bunshin. "Clones? Physical clones?" Sakura gaped in astonishment. "I have too much chakra to use the basic bunshin no jutsu," Naruto said sourly. "That is the only, and I mean only, reason I haven't graduated in the last 2 years. They always choose the damned bunshin as the jutsu for the ninjutsu component of the test, so I keep failing. Not this year though. The rules allow any of the clone jutsu to be used so long as you can make at least 3 of them. With these IWA bunshin, I'm in the clear. Out of all the clone jutsu I've read about, the IWA bunshin take the most amount of chakra to create, and are also the most resilient, aside from Shodame-sama's Moku Bunshin no Jutsu, wood clone jutsu. Sakura thought in astonishment, and Naruto has 10 or 12 of them running around like I'd use the regular Bunshin no Jutsu. Shaking herself out of her stupefaction, Sakura examined the room. It was obviously in disuse, but the IWA Bunshin had tidied the place up quite well. The mats needed replacing though. I'll have this ready tomorrow, so we'll fight then. Naruto told her, so be ready to lose Databia. That's just what I was going to say to you, Sakura retorted. The two glared at each other before chuckling and heading back to Naruto's room to finish the study session. After the study session, geez, there sure were a lot of messages today. Naruto grumbled as he looked at the virtual sea of windows that surrounded him. I'll just have to go through them one at a time. Status change? You change from, to member of the Uzumaki clan. Clan knowledge added? %EXP to? Skill changed to 15% EXP to Funjutsu skill? Clan knowledge added? Loyalty, perk added? Quest alert. The clan of Swirling Tides, thanks to Haruno Sakura, you have discovered information about your clan, the Uzumaki. The only person that knows everything about them is the Sandaime Hokage. Pass the Genin exams in order to find out the rest of the information about your clan from him. Quest completion reward, information about the Uzumaki clan, plus 1500 EXP, plus 2 attribute points. Quest failure, death. Accept. Y/N. How the hell can I die from failing the Genin exams? Naruto yelped. What was more worrying was the fact he couldn't refuse this quest. Death? For failing a basic exam? There had to be more to it than he was seeing. Resolving to solve the mystery of this quest later on, he pressed the Y button. Naruto turned his attention to the other windows. Quest alert. Tough love, you have challenged Haruno Sakura to a Taijutsu match. Defeat her to improve her Taijutsu and health. Quest completion reward, minus 50 reputation with Haruno Sakura, plus 150 EXP, plus 500 Ryo. Quest failure, minus 50 reputation with Haruno Sakura, a serious hit to your wallet. Accept. Y/N. Why the heck does my relationship with Sakura-chan go down regardless of whether I win or lose? Naruto complained, then scowled as he read the window that popped up in answer. No path without stones. In life, there is rarely a path that is completely without problems. In this case, win or lose, you have a reduced reputation with Haruno Sakura. This is inevitable. In one path, you defeat her and she resents that. In the other, she defeats you and thinks you were bluffing about your abilities. In this case, you must balance the other points to see which path is better for you and her. That actually made sense. Naruto said aloud. It followed a rule that Naruto had discovered since the orphanage: life isn't fair. Resolved to his situation, Naruto hit the Y button. He would more than earn back the lost reputation from his studying sessions. You ought her with the number of clones. Plus 100 reputation with Haruno Sakura. You have had 2 study sessions with Haruno Sakura? Plus 1 int and plus 1 WIS. Finally, Naruto grumbled, now, to the flower shop. Much to his surprise, when he reached the Yamanaka flower shop, he found Ino and her father waiting for him. Yamanaka-sama? Why are you and Ino-san waiting for me? He asked, warily eyeing the Yamanaka clan head. When he had started to say just Ino's first name without honorifics, Inoichi had sent a little bit of ki at him, resulting in his detect bloodthirst skill popping up. Hell, he even leveled the skill up because of that? Your order? Duh. Ino had said with an eye roll, if you have the money on you right now, we can help you set things up at your house. How much? Naruto asked. Inoichi handed him an invoice for 30,000 Ryo. Naruto quickly scanned it and everything looked to be in order. Okay, he said simply and pulled out Gama-chan. Fortunately for him, he'd found out how to pull money out of his gamer status screen just this morning, so he'd added a fair chunk of his winnings from the previous day to Gama-chan. Combined with the compensation from the people who had wrecked his apartment twice, dropped off by Nico-san this morning, he could easily afford this. You gave him the clan rate, I see. Ino noted as she peered at the invoice in Naruto's hand. The Uzumaki are a clan, princess. Inoichi said in concern, haven't you been paying attention to your classes? Talk to Jiji about this, Inoichi-sama. Naruto cut in, anyway, here you go. Naruto handed over a thick wad of cash to Inoichi, who counted it quickly before putting it in the till. Thank you for your business, he said professionally, making a mental note to talk to the Hokage about the oddity regarding his daughter not knowing about the Uzumaki clan. I have all of the supplies sealed in storage scrolls, so let's get to it. Leading the father and daughter combo back to his apartment building, he was completely unsurprised to see that Ino was just as underwhelmed as Sakura was about his new building. It beats living on the street, he said with a shrug as he beckoned them to follow him up the stairs. When they reached his apartment, he saw Ino giving his place a cursory look over, which made him really nervous for some reason. Ignoring this, he opened the door to the roof and showed his fellow blondes where they would be working. Looks like they moved everything perfectly when they changed HQs. Inoichi muttered as he gave the 2 long boxes a once-over. Do you know who used to live here, Daddy? Ino asked. This was the former Umbu HQ entrance building, Ino-san. Naruto said dryly. Ino yelped, why the heck are you staying here then, Naruto? Gigi said anyone with balls big enough to break in here would have to be too stupid to live. Naruto shrugged, especially since a 2-person team of Umbu watched this place day and night. Ino shook her head and muttered something under her breath before Inoichi put her to work unsealing bags of soil and compost, while he unsealed shovels. Naruto offered to help out, but Inoichi politely refused and told him that it was better if professionals set it up initially, so if he had any chores to do, now would be the time to do it. Remembering that he had shopping to do, Naruto agreed and thanked the man for his kindness. Compared to Umbu TNI, this is a nice way to relax. Inoichi said dismissively, right, princess? Yup. Ino agreed. She was sorting the plants that they had brought with them in a practiced and brisk manner. You really do love plants. Naruto observed bemusedly. Flowers. Ino corrected him, I love flowers. Ignoring the fact you fangirled over a rare herb last week. Inoichi remarked casually, making his daughter flush in embarrassment. Daddy. She groaned. Naruto chuckled at that. Well, I'd better be off shopping. If you get hungry or thirsty, help yourselves to the food and drinks in my fridge. Thanks Naruto. Inoichi called as the boy bounced off the roof and into his apartment. How the heck does he have so much energy? Ino asked in disbelief. We've both been to the academy and he's had a study session with Forad until just a little while ago on top of that. Uzumaki had so much chakra that it was very difficult to get them to sit still back when there was a full clan of them. Inoichi said with a smile, anyway, let's get to work. These flower beads aren't going to make themselves, you know. With Naruto. With over 7 years of experience with the nasty attitudes of the shopkeepers of Konoha, it didn't really surprise Naruto to any great degree that he was once more being treated to glares as he entered the shopping district. He had, once or twice, used his henge no jutsu to purchase food and other essentials here, but the shopkeepers had somehow caught on to this plan and had seals placed in their doorways that dispelled any genjutsu on people that walked through their doors. He hadn't been caught by it only because he had seen an old woman's cosmetic genjutsu get dispelled. Naruto stopped suddenly. From what he had read in his skill window, his own version of the henge no jutsu wasn't a mere illusion, but an actual physical transformation. He quickly dodged into an alley and brought the skill window for the henge no jutsu up. Sure enough, his jutsu was for some reason different from the regular henge. Go figure that one. Quickly transforming into Iruka, Naruto proceeded to walk casually into a nearby bookshop and silently rejoiced when his transformation didn't so much as flicker. Looking around the signs in the shop, he quickly located a book on sewing and smirked as the window asking if he wanted to learn it popped up. Moving on, he found a book on beginner's calligraphy. When the window popped up, he had a look around for any others that might be useful. A cookbook? Would that work? Naruto wondered. Deciding that it couldn't hurt to try, he located a basic cookbook, with simple recipes that a newbie at cooking could likely make without burning them, probably. As the window popped up, he added it to his pile of books. Iruka-san. The cashier greeted him with a smile, more books on the basics is it? A solid foundation is a necessity for both shinobi skills and other pursuits. Naruto replied in Iruka's voice. That old refrain again. The man rolled his eyes, evidently familiar with Iruka's truisms. That'll be 1,000 ryo. Naruto paid for the books and decided to head to Higirishi's. That Tonto had been bugging him ever since he'd gotten it. As soon as he could, Naruto slipped into an alley and dispelled his henge. Picking up the cookbook, he smiled as he read the window. You have acquired the 101 recipes for beginners book. Do you wish to learn this? Y/N. Hell yeah. Naruto hit the Y button. No more malnourished flaw for me. Cooking, passive, LV2, 03.10 EXP. One of the oldest skill sets in human history, cooking is something that all people do at some point in their life, even if it is merely adding water to instant ramen. Passively adds 20% to the success ratio of all cooking actions. Passively reduces food wasted during preparation by 3%. Passively reduces chance of a food accident during preparation by 5%. Adds a further 5% bonus to all of the above if the meal being prepared is from your recipe book. Requires cooking tools to use. Current cooking rank, raw amateur. Nice. Naruto grinned. Next, sewing. You have acquired the Stitch in Time book. Do you wish to learn this? Y/N. Yep. Was all he said as he eagerly awaited the next screen popping up after hitting Y. Sewing, passive, LV1, 00.00 EXP. Sewing is a basic skill taken up by housewives and bachelors all over the world. Darning socks, stitching seams and sewing on patches all fall under this skill. Requires sewing tools and thread to use. Passively reduces wasted thread by 1%. Passively increases the quality of all sewing actions by 5%. Passively raises dex by 1%. Current rank, Bloody Needle. Bloody Needle. Naruto muttered with a tick mark on his forehead, I am not that clumsy. Scowling at the insinuation that he had such low dex that he would poke himself with a needle, Naruto moved on to the last book. You have acquired the One Stroke, One Love book. Do you wish to learn this? Y/N. Let's see what this looks like. Naruto muttered as he mashed the Y button. Calligraphy, passive, LV1, 00.00. Calligraphy, or shoto, is the way of artistic writing. Often seen as merely being that, the eye of a shinobi can see the true potential of calligraphy. Requires calligraphy brush and calligraphy ink to use. Passively reduces failure ratio of all calligraphy actions by 7%. Passively reduces the amount of wasted ink by 5%. Passively increases success ratio of all calligraphy actions by 5%. At this rate, I'm not going to have the time for any pranks, cause I'll be too busy studying. Naruto grumbled, tch. Ah well, the things I have to do to become Hokage. Shrugging philosophically, he set out towards Higurashi's, not noticing the masked figure who was following him. With Tenten. Higurashi residence. Higurashi Tenten was not best pleased with her father at this particular moment. This wasn't exactly an unheard of occurrence, as her father, though she loved him dearly, had this annoying tendency to somehow get into trouble whenever he set foot outside Konohagakure. Take his current appearance for example. He was dressed up like a pirate. A long black coat with golden filigree, a long sash wrapped around his waist and an odd tricorn hat atop his head. So, Tenten said with a forced calm, do I really want to know how you ended up dressed like this? Her father, a veritable mountain of muscle, flinched away from his adopted daughter's steely grey glare as if she had brandished a whip at him. Now Tenten, he said pleadingly, this isn't what it looks like. Oh, so you did not in fact get roaring drunk on your way back to the village and dress up as a pirate as you are now? Tenten growled with a glower, how Ka-san lost track of you, I'll never know. I'd like an answer to that question as well. Higurashi Connie said as she joined her daughter. Connie was a slender woman, with long black hair reaching down to her waist. Her smoky onyx eyes boring into her husband as she spoke. Tatsuhiko was a mountain of a man, his arms rippling with muscle from his blacksmithing work. His close-cropped brown hair was kept that way to avoid any accidents in the forge and his warm brown eyes were very expressive. Right now, for example, they had a slight quiver of fear in them. Ah, now dear, he said nervously. Anida, we discussed this before. Connie stated coolly, your bad habit of getting drunk and then doing something embarrassing when you leave Konoha is getting to the point of ridiculousness now. I mean, a pirate costume. I honestly can't remember where I got it. Tatsuhiko admitted. Now, what are you going to do? Connie asked patiently. Take the costume off and go sober up. He recited dully. Yes, you are? Tenten said with an eye roll, next time Ka-san can go get the ore. She knows what to look for just as well as you do. I'm heading back to the shop floor. I still have to finish polishing the Kodaki. She turned and walked off before remembering something. Oh, Oyaji, you've got an order to finish off as well. Uzumaki Naruto bought the storm suit and wants the shoulder plate engraved with his clan symbol. The plate's in your workshop. With that, she sauntered off. The Uzumaki bought the storm suit. Tatsuhiko asked in bemusement. There was only ever one Uzumaki in Konoha, so anybody who wasn't a bigoted asshole who thought that he was the Kyuubi referred to Naruto as the Uzumaki, like his mother before him. Looks like he's finally getting serious about graduating. Connie said softly. Belike. Tatsuhiko agreed, he also has good taste. That outfit should last him a good long while as he grows into it and when he grows out of it, there'll probably be a good piece to replace it. The sudden wordless roar of anger from their daughter made the two adults look at each other in surprise. Only one thing made Tenten as angry as she currently sounded, so the question had to be asked. Who had been stupid enough to destroy one of the weapons she had forged? With Naruto, a few minutes previously. Fortunately enough for Naruto, Higurashi's was still open. Double-checking that the broken tanto was in the pocket of his trousers, he then advanced into the shop. Tenten was just sitting down as he entered. Hey Naruto, she said when she spotted him, need more clothes? Nope. Not yet at least. Naruto replied, I actually found a broken weapon in a training ground and I was wondering if it was reparable. Oh, let's have a look then. Tenten leaned forward in curiosity, if I can't fix it, then Oyaji can. Naruto drew the tanto from his pocket and laid it down on the desk. Tenten took one look at it before an expression of pure rage came over her face and she reached over to grab Naruto by the collar. Where did you find it? She demanded, shaking her quarry violently. Where? Ten-chan, I think you might want to let him go before you choke him to death. A female voice suggested in amusement as Higurashi Connie stepped out of the family portion of the building. Tenten looked at her mother in confusion before looking at Naruto properly. He was turning red at the solid grip she had on his neck. With an eep of embarrassment, the bun-haired girl dropped him and started fussing over the blonde shinobi in training as he started to gulp in air. I almost went over the sands and rivers. Naruto muttered, remind me to train myself into the ground before I ever spar with you, Tenten. Her Jonin-sensei would be appreciative of your compliments to her physical strength. Connie chuckled, I'm Tenten's mother, Connie. What was it that made Tenchan so angry? Ah, just as I thought. I take it you know the blade. Naruto asked sarcastically as he massaged his neck. This is Toradora, a tanto that I forged just before I took the genin exams last year. Tenten explained, where did you find it and what the hell's happened to it? In training ground 13 and I have no idea. Naruto replied honestly, if I had to guess though, I'd say it was hit by a hammer of some kind. Connie picked the blade up and examined it. Yes, I'd agree. If not a hammer then an immense blow with some other kind of blunt object. Wait, training ground 13. Tenten looked at Naruto in confusion, isn't that place closed for chakra saturation? Gigi let me in, to the first 3 areas at least. Naruto replied, I found that in the first area. Had to kill 3 mutated gray squirrels and 2 red ones to get it. Wow, Tenten said, then regarded Toradora with a frown, how the hell did my baby get there though? Isaka-san was in team 14, the next ground over. Who? Naruto asked. Isaka Taiga. Connie replied, the genin who bought the blade, along with its mate, Kuryu, Tiger Dragon. Isn't that just another way of saying Toradora? Naruto asked after a moment. It is, but that was what Isaka-san named the blades after cutting her palms with them. Tenten replied. Noting the confusion on Naruto's face, she added, sword lore. Shinobi and samurai, if they're masters of their craft, name their blades after the first time they draw blood with them. Ah, Naruto nodded. So, what should I do here? Should I return it to Isaka-san since it's hers? After she broke it and abandoned it like this? No, Tenten said sharply as she cradled the broken weapon as if it was her firstborn. An acceptable compromise would be for you to inform Isaka-san that the blade has been found and that Tenchan is fixing it. Connie interjected diplomatically, should she wish to retrieve it, she must come here in 3 days and explain why she broke it and abandoned it to Tenchan. Okay. Naruto said carefully, so where can I find Isaka-san? She got married 2 months ago, so she moved out of the Isaka family compound. Connie said as she strained to recall details, her new husband is Takasurayaji, if I'm remembering correctly. One of her teammates. Oh yeah, that's why she bought 2 tanto. Tenten remembered, one was for her, one was for her boyfriend. She planned to use Toradora, he was to get Kuryu. Are they still genin? Naruto asked. No, Isaka-san was promoted just after she got the tanto. Connie replied, Ryaji-san was promoted during the last Chunin exams. That was when he proposed to her. I'll wander over to their training field tomorrow and give em your message. Naruto nodded, I'd better get home. Yamanaka Inoichi-sama and Ino are fixing me up a pair of flower beads. You like gardening? Tenten asked in surprise, you don't seem the type. It's my way of relaxing. Naruto shrugged, Gigi does calligraphy for the same reason. Gigi? Tenten asked in confusion. Hokage Gigi. Naruto replied before he headed out the door. The bun-haired girl gaped after him. He calls Hokage-sama Gigi. From what I hear, the Hokage is his legal guardian. Connie told her daughter softly, I would guess that they've developed a relationship similar to grandfather and grandson, especially since Hokage-sama is the closest thing to family Naruto-kun has. Tenten looked sad then, which was swiftly followed by confusion. Why hasn't anybody adopted him though? She asked. I mean, he seems like a pretty nice kid. A bit informal, but still? Connie sighed. Sadly, some people are just full of spite. Let's leave it at that for now. You should start on fixing Toradora if you want to make the D-Day deadline. Arg. Tenten half screamed, that's right. My poor baby? Don't worry, Ka-san's going to fix you up as good as new or better. Connie knew she should be slightly concerned at her daughter cooing at a tanto like it was alive, but she was used to it from her husband, which was who Tenten had learned her love of forging weapons from. Oh, looks like Tenten's going to monopolize the forge. Tatsuhiko drawled as he tromped out into the shop proper, what's the deal? Well, Connie started to explain the situation to her husband as Tenten bolted off to the forge, muttering under her breath about alloys, seals and forging techniques as she did so. Back at Naruto's apartment. Wow, Naruto said as he saw all of the plants in the flower beads. Otaniwatari, bird's nest ferns, some small bambusa, butterfly bush, there were so many plants that he didn't know where to start. I'll say. Ino huffed, look after them, Naruto, or else. That's the plan. Naruto replied. I've left guides on how to look after them all on your dining table. Inoichi informed him. When you graduate, let me know when your team is going to be on a C rank or above mission and I'll come in while you're away to look after them. 1,000 ryo per mission. Much appreciated, Inoichi-sama. Naruto bowed slightly. Here, for the trouble. As a tip, 3,000 ryo wasn't much, but it was the largest amount most people would expect an orphan living off of a stipend to tip someone. My thanks. Inoichi nodded. We'd better head back now. If you have any questions about the plants, feel free to ask Ino or myself. Both of yous have full knowledge of the ones we planted for you. Bidding Naruto farewell, the two Yamanaka left his apartment, looking tired. Observe, Naruto whispered as he looked at Ino, just as she exited the door, bringing up her status window. Let's see. Naruto muttered, this one looks interesting. Strong-minded, passive. You have a strong sense of self and hold strong opinions about the subjects you are passionate about. This does come with the unfortunate side effect of being slow to change your opinions about something except in the face of overwhelming evidence that disproves your own opinion. Passively grants a 15% bonus to the success ratio of any Mindwalker skill. Passively grants the user a 5% bonus to the debate skill when discussing something you are passionate about. Reduces the likelihood of changing your opinion regarding something you are passionate about by 10%, unless the opposing evidence is 70% or more against your opinion. This perk cannot be removed as it is a great part of who you are. Yep. Ino to a T. Naruto had to sweat drop at how scarily accurate this ability of his was. Natural talent, Mindwalker, passive. You have a natural flair for using the jutsu of the Yamanaka clan. Walking through the memories of your opponents, manipulating their bodies and even passively reading their minds all come easily to you. Passively adds 20% to the success ratio of all Mindwalker jutsu. Passively adds 10% to the effectiveness of all Mindwalker jutsu. Due to your understanding of the human mind, you add 5% to the success ratio of all persuade, intimidate, charm and seduce actions. This perk can only be lost by losing the ability to use chakra, in which case it becomes the counselor perk. Okay, I am not letting Ino use any of her jutsu on me. Naruto swore as he read the description. Acrobatic, passive. You possess a naturally flexible and lithe physique, allowing you to jump and cavort with the greatest of ease. Passively adds a permanent increase of 5 to your dex. Passively adds 1% to your dex. Passively increases the success ratio of any action that uses dex by 5%. This perk can be lost by not exercising and gaining too much weight. Like Little Miss Diet would ever let herself gain weight. Naruto muttered scornfully. Herbalist, passive. You have a wide knowledge of all plants and can tell at a glance what one is and if it has any medicinal or pharmacopoeial use. Passively increases EXP gain from gardening actions by 50%. Passively increases amount of plants gathered by 10%. Passively reduces herbs wasted when making medicine by 15%. Passively reduces plants wasted during poison making by 15%. This perk can be lost by getting a concussion and amnesia. Wow, I guess she really does love plants. Was all he could say to that. Looks like they teach her more than just basic gardening at the flower shop. Vain, passive. You are highly proud about your appearance and how attractive you are to others. The thought of someone not being attracted to you hasn't occurred to you. You are obsessive about keeping yourself looking your best at all times, even unto the detriment of your teamwork and physical abilities. Reduces teamwork by 15%. Reduces increases to physical stats by 10%. Adds 20 to seduction and charm skills. This flaw can be lost by realizing that physical appearances mean nothing if you are too weak to stay alive as a shinobi. Damn, this'll be a hard one to get her to ditch. Naruto muttered. He ignored malnourished and fangirl as he knew what those did. Daddy's girl, passive. You are the pride and joy of your parents, especially your father, and thus have been relatively sheltered and pampered your entire life. You are only dimly aware of the grim reality of the world and tend to disbelieve some of the more extreme cases of cruelty that can be in the world. This flaw can be lost by coming face to face with how cruel and unforgiving the world can be. So, a coddled, spoiled little princess. Naruto deadpanned. Great. Naruto was, rather contrary to what his detractors said about him, a very friendly person, as well as a rather kind one. The idea of one of his classmates dying because of a stupid little flaw that he knew exactly how to remove was repugnant to him. How the heck can I help her out? I have my hands full with Sakura-chan already. The boy sighed, before shrugging, meh. I'll think about it later. To the training ground.